escape is all. But imagine getting a chance to reflect on your life one last time before transitioning into the afterlife. Hirokazu Kore-eda, the genius Japanese film director, presents a unique and deeply poignant take on this prospect in his 1998 released movie, Afterlife. Afterlife stands as one of Kore-eda's finest works, with the director being renowned for his intimate exploration of human connection, memories, and identity, making his movies extremely empathetic and evocative. Despite the fact that each Kore-eda movie is just as beautiful and thought-provoking, Afterlife for some reason hit too close to home. Why? Well, that's precisely what this video is going to be about. So sit back, take a deep breath in, and come along as we delve deep into the brilliance of Afterlife. Afterlife takes place in a strange limbo, where recently deceased individuals arrive through a huge door, which seems to be a sort of a portal between our human world and the afterlife. One thing to take note of is that in afterlife, memory is identity. It is the essence of who we are. Why I say this is because as soon as the souls arrive, they're asked to choose one memory from their entire life that they hold the closest to their heart. Sounds pretty simple, right? But there's a catch. Apparently, the memory you choose is going to be the only memory that you carry with you to the so-called afterlife. All other memories, good or bad, will disappear from your head forever. The film majorly centers around a group of counselors or employees, former souls themselves, in this particular office-like setting. Their work is to help the deceased in making the final choice. They take notes, discuss logistics, and try to create miniature sets in the hope of replicating, or more like recreating, the chosen memories. One thing that I absolutely adore about this movie is how Kore-eda blurs the lines between the living and the dead by grounding the supernatural in the mundane. Well, what I mean by this is that this office is nowhere near being celestial or intimidating. It is rather bureaucratic and resembles the corporate offices in our own human world. This gives us an idea of how Kore-eda's focus was not on glamorizing the afterlife, rather on the emotions and stories of people passing through it. People in the film are forced to confront their lives through the lens of a single memory. It is not just about reliving an event, but understanding what it says about them. What does it mean in the larger context of their lives? And why did they choose it? Naturally, some memories are joyful, some bittersweet, and some marked by regrets. The film, however, doesn't make judgments about which memories are better or worse. It rather highlights the variety of experiences that make up a human life. Here, the film poses a fundamental question. How do we choose what defines us? And could it be that the memories we perceive as the most trivial are in fact the most significant? I think yes. Let me give you my example. While watching the movie, the entire time in my head, I kept wondering as to what memory I would choose if faced with the same situation. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't think of one. It was only after the film ended and I sat for a few minutes in silence that it clicked. The memory was from when I was around 5 years old. I closed my eyes and I felt a sudden rush of wind against my face, making my hairs flutter in all directions. I was on a motorbike with my father, hugging him tightly from behind. The road was relatively empty and dimly lit, with the trees blurring past me on either side. The air was cold, but oddly comforting. I see myself giggling, completely caught up in the moment, enjoying each second of the ride. And that was it. That was the memory. Now, the reason why this memory is so important to me is a bit personal. But all I can tell you is that in that one moment, I believe I was the happiest I've been in these 23 years of my life. And it's funny how I occasionally used to go back to this memory and not think much of it. But it was only after watching this movie did I realize how much I cherished it. You guys, I absolutely owe Kore-eda for this, don't I? Now, coming back to the movie. I feel like Afterlife in a way is meditation on memory. Kore-eda shows us that memory isn't just about the monumental events in life. It can be as simple as a shared moment of love, a feeling of connection, or a fleeting encounter that leaves a deep mark. Talking about the characters in our movie, for some, the decision is immediate, like flying between the clouds for a young aviator, or sitting under a cherry blossom tree for Miss Nishimura, and the joy of dancing for Miss Kimiko. For others, however, it's agonizing. Take for example Mr. Watanabe, an elderly man who initially claims his life held no remarkable moments. It's only after revisiting the old footage of his life that he finds profound beauty in the seemingly ordinary memories. Another question that comes up here is that if we had to choose a memory, would that act of choosing it force us to re-evaluate the meaning of our lives? Now coming to the counselors in Afterlife. They're not simply facilitators of afterlife processes. They are in a way guides to the beings. As they help the deceased, they too are confronted with their own lives, reflecting on their roles in the life of others. The counselors must themselves wrestle with their own understanding of what it means to leave behind a legacy. Another beautiful aspect of this movie is how Kore-eda's treatment of death isn't sensationalized. He approaches it in a way which illustrates that death, just like life, is an intimate and personal experience. While we are often caught up in everyday hustle, the film subtly invites us to question what truly matters when the clock runs out. This isn't a film that gives easy answers. It's about the uncertainty of existence, the way life doesn't always fit neatly into a narrative of success or failure. While the movie is slow-paced, it is by no means emotionally distant. The film quietly uncovers profound truths about the human condition. The choice of memory is not just a personal decision. but also one that reflects the relationships that the characters had in life, the regrets they carry, and the love left behind. At the film's heart is the poignant moment of decision. As the characters select their memory, there's a profound sense of finality and peace, yet also a recognition that by choosing just one memory, they must let go of the rest. The way I look at it is that Kore-eda plays with the idea that perhaps it's not the memory itself that is important, but the act of choosing it. To me, this process of reflecting, of distilling one's life into a single moment, is both liberating and heartbreaking. The most striking aspect of Afterlife is its simplicity. The film is shot in a naturalistic, almost documentary-like manner, with many of the character stories based on interviews with real people, hence giving it a documentary-like authenticity. The camera shots focus mainly on small, intimate spaces. The rooms where the deceased choose their memories are characterized by plain white walls, large windows with small flower pots arranged on the windowsills, and unadorned surroundings. This minimalistic setup helps to create a grounded sense of reality. This afterlife feels like a place that could actually exist and is inhabited by ordinary people with ordinary lives. The use of long takes, still shots, the carefully timed pauses, and the extended silence at the right instances allows us to sit with the characters and their emotions. We don't rush through their decisions, and we aren't forced to judge them. Instead, we are invited to feel their choices, to linger on their memories of vulnerability. The performances in the film are equally subtle and moving. The cast, a mix of experienced actors and non-professionals, conveys a sense of calmness that makes the afterlife feel less like an otherworldly experience and more like a place of quiet reflection. This contributes to the film's introspective tone, inviting the viewers to slow down and think about their own memory and choices. Afterlife to me is a beautiful pensive exploration of memory, identity, and the meaning of life. Through its quiet storytelling, Kore-eda asks us to reflect on the most important aspects of our existence, the moments that define us, the relationships that shape us, and the experiences that remain long after we're gone. Over 2 decades after its release, Afterlife remains one of Kore-eda's most poignant works. It paved the way for his later films like Nobody Knows, Like Father Like Son, and Still Walking, which similarly explores life's fragility and the bonds that bind us to one another. More than a pondering on death, Afterlife to me is a celebration of life. It challenges us to find meaning in the most mundane and trivial events, to treasure the fleeting bits, and recognize the beauty in moments that we might otherwise overlook. Conclusively, it is a movie that encourages us not to be overwhelmed by the enormity of existence, but to cherish the small, meaningful moments that, when chosen, can carry us through eternity. Now, before I take my leave, I want to leave you guys with one final question. Yes, the very obvious one. So tell me, if you could choose one memory to carry with you forever, what would it be? And more importantly, how will you live today with the knowledge that each moment is both fleeting and eternal?